If you're in prison, there are certain things that you don't need to do. And one of those things is getting caught in the line of fire. Why did I actually do that? I don't know. Because when you research YouTube videos on how to get people to click on your videos, they say do stupid stuff or post thumbnails that mean absolutely nothing to your video. I'm kind of against that, but I'm trying whatever I can to get my channel growing, right? Honestly, I don't do that in a lot of videos, but why not? You know, give it a shot. Who knows? Maybe somebody else will click on it who's interested in prison content and will hear everything I got to say. Anyway, what I mean by the line of fire in prison is you don't want to go stumbling around the bathroom area on a Friday or Saturday night or during vacation time, meaning even in prison, right? There are times when you don't have to go work in the field or where a lot of the officers get off because of vacation, Christmas, you know, the regular holidays, you name it, right? So dudes in the dorms are allowed to stay up a little bit later than they usually would. The TV room usually stays open all night. You know, it's a privilege. So the TV stays open all night. You can use the microwave all night. You can use the telephones usually throughout the night or till like midnight or something like that, depending on where the prison is or how the warden got it set up. And then the bathroom area in the dormitories is where they have, you know, sessions going on in the bathroom stalls. In prison, there ain't no doors on bathroom stalls. There are usually toilets sectioned off. Now, in some prisons, the toilets are right next to each other, right? So dudes in those areas won't be able to sit. A man's not going to sit next to another man who's doing what you think I'm talking about, right? That man's not going to be over there on this, like in other words, the toilet's right here. You sitting right next to a dude on the toilet right next to you, and he's fiddling with himself and you fiddling with yourself and y'all both just looking at some magazine, right? No, that's not going to happen. So in those dorms, it's probably not going to go down like that unless it's just a single person, that whole section, because it's disrespectful if you go and fiddle with yourself, right? And somebody else is trying to use the bathroom next to you. A fight's going to kick off. You're going to get into it unless you're a punk, right? So in some prisons, the toilets are still separated. They'll have a partition so you can get some kind of semblance of privacy. There's no doors, but it's sectioned off. So the one that's furthest away is the ones that will usually be dudes in there with their magazines, right? Back in the 90s and the 80s in prisons, and I guess the early 2000s, I don't know about now, you could have magazines. They call them shop books. You could have a shop book. So they back there looking at their shop book. Now, if you're a fresh fish and you go stumbling in and you use the urinal all the way over, usually there's one or two toilets sectioned off or a urinal area where you can use that the dudes who are handling their business won't see you. Now, if you fresh fish or you stupid or you trying to get caught peeping and watching something you ain't supposed to be watching, or maybe you do want to watch that, and they're going to give you something to watch because they're going to invite you in there to help them out. Now, you can't go back there getting in the line of fire. Don't accidentally get caught. What they mean, they booking. They back there booking. They back there practicing they shooting, right? If you get caught in the line of fire, then now they're looking at you and they might be in the middle of firing off some shots. And now you got booked. Now you got to fight. Don't be stupid in jail, man. Pay attention to your surroundings. Know what you're getting involved in. Don't get caught in the line of fire. You know, don't get some of those, you know, those human fluids shot in your direction. You don't want that to happen to you. That's why in prison, you always got to be aware of what's going on around you. You always got to have a sense of your surroundings and what's going on. You don't have to be involved in it, but you should be aware of it. Even if you don't like it, be aware of what's going on around you. And if dudes are back there playing with themselves, then don't go back there and find out. Ask a convict. Hey, look, I know they back there. I'm fresh fish. You know, I don't know. Just be honest. They're going to put you on your game and say, hey, look, bro, I don't want to go stumbling where I don't have no business. If I got to use the bathroom, what if I got to poo? And they're going to put you on game on what stalls are open and available while them dudes is back there handling their business. Now, in said prisons, if you got to go take a poo, and let's say they got 8 toilets, right? And it's late at night or during the day or whatever, I don't care when it is, and there's only one dude pooing, don't sit next to the dude pooing, right? Sit 2 over from him if all of them are open. Now, if every toilet is caught up because, you know, everybody had peanut butter day the day before, or the food was jacked up, Or dudes got them beans on their stomach and they got to get it out before they hit the field. You know, those days, everybody's waiting in line. They're waiting in line. As soon as one gets up, man up, you sit down, you take you a poo. And the next man take him a poo. You're going to be sitting next to somebody taking a poo. But if you're taking a poo in the middle of the night when most people, you know, kind of sleeping, you know, you want to go back there and creep. You know, I get it. I want my privacy. I'd rather poo at night too than poo in the middle unless you really got to go. You know, you can hold yourself down and use the bathroom when it's later. You know, so you can get a little more privacy. Don't sit next to a dude right next to you. And if you go back there and you go back there to poo, and the dude who's pooing 2 or 3 over from you starts playing with himself, well, you need to finish pooing and handle your business, because he just thought you was a punk and he was smelling something that he liked coming from you. And you don't want to be involved in that. And I know this is sick stuff to talk about, but I'm telling you what goes down in prison. In the southern prisons, there ain't no structure. There ain't no protection. You your own protection. So you got to be on your own game. Ain't nobody going to start standing up for you until you start standing up for yourself down south. You got to handle your own business. If you don't handle your own business, you're going to be your own victim. And listen, don't go trying to save people who don't want to be saved, right? What do I mean by that? I mean, in prison, sometimes people listen, I have a soft heart, right? One thing I'd like to do is I like to give people the benefit of the doubt. That's not always a smart thing to do, because you give the wrong person the benefit of the doubt and they're going to cause you trouble. And they don't even mean no well to themselves. So you got to be like, you know what? That dude's a punk. I ain't trying to help him. I had to learn that the hard way, because I tried to help a lot of dudes who I felt sorry for. And in the end, they wound up talking about you behind your back. And then I never did punch any of them in their face, but I should have slammed a lock on their face back then. I wouldn't do that now. But back then, sometimes you got to do what you got to do. You got to be careful who you trust. And you always got to pay attention to your surroundings. Everything in prison is observational. You got to use your eyes. You got to use your ears. And you got to use your heart. And you better use your mind. Pay attention. Like I said, you know what's going on around you, because you don't want to get caught in a line of fire on a weeknight when dudes are back there in them bathroom stalls fiddling with themselves while they're looking at pictures. And look, if you catch a dude with a picture of your girlfriend or your wife, if he gets caught in the stall, or you catch somebody who borrowed your picture or stole your picture of your family member, and they're back there fiddling with a picture with your family member, you obligated to do what you got to do. I done seen dudes who would have made excuses like, oh yeah, so-and-so had my picture of my sister. So-and-so had a picture of my girlfriend. I'm cool, man. I ain't gonna marry her anyway. She's just my girl for now. She's just josing me. Man, you a punk. You can't play them type of games. You got to handle your business. Don't be loaning pictures of the people who are sending pictures to you to help you do your time by writing you letters, and you borrowing them out to dudes so they can get their lust on your family member. You know what I mean? You a coward. You a punk. That's some scary dude stuff right there. I seen dudes do it. Y'all think this is crazy? Prison is a crazy place. In the southern prisons, they like booty games. And they like going to the bathroom fiddling with themselves. In the dorms, where the toilets and the TV area is all in one, where you can't really do that, they'll just go put blankets around the bunk. At the bottom part of underneath the bunk, there's always an underneath a bunk. So the underneath area, they'll cover it with blankets and towels, and they just go under there. And that happens on a weekend night. So they underneath that bunk area, fully covered, but they can't see nothing. And they go underneath that privacy area. And they're down there. Now, I done seen people fight behind that too. It's a slippery slope. The reality is, people still have sexual desires in prison. And they're going to do what they can to handle their business doing that. That's just a reality. I don't like it. I used to hate it. Prison is a crazy place. Sometimes you get to different prisons where more convicts are and there's a little more structure. But most of the time, man, even the convicts, they got to, handle their business and fiddle with themselves, or some of them doing stuff with punks. That's just the reality of prison. So what I'm saying all that to say this: you got to be on your game at all time. You got to be paying attention at all time what's going on around you. Don't get caught slipping. Don't walk in the line of fire. Don't do it. Because if you get caught in the line of fire, you're going to get yourself caught in a lot of mess. Because people are going to consider you, A, disrespectful, or B, you want to see something that they're doing. And if you go peeping around corners, you're going to see something that you don't want to see in prison. Don't worry about who's messing with what punk. That ain't your concern, right? Do your time. Focus on your time. You know, write your letters. Go watch whatever they're watching on TV. Don't go in there thinking you're going to mess with that TV neither in the middle of the night. Man, leave that TV alone. That TV done got many dudes banged up, beat up, right? And some of them even turned out behind the TV. Don't mess with that TV unless you're a soldier, unless you're a savage. Now, if you're a savage and you're about that life, then go change the channel. You know, you ready to do what you got to do. I don't care about no TV like that. It ain't worth it for me. I got to pick my battles. So I didn't really mess with the TV like that. You know, sometimes I watch whatever they had on. If you go watch my videos, there was one time where I almost got in a fight behind the television, and it was with a friend of mine, and we got into a really bad, actually, he was my cellie, and I wanted to watch Dragon Ball Z, and he wanted to watch Friends, and, you know, we just collided. You know, it was a stupid thing, really, but it really wasn't worth it. And I seen dudes get stabbed behind the TV. So you can go ahead and play with that TV if you want to, but even, you know, more people or everybody has sexual drive. Some people can control themselves behind that TV. You know, but you get caught in the line of fire in the bathroom stalls and they back there going at it. You know what I mean? That's what they doing back there. And you go back there and use the wrong stall and they see you and you look over and you see something you ain't supposed to see. Well, you're going to get something you ain't really want. You're going to see something you really ain't want to see, you know? So before you go to prison thinking that you're just going to be, you know, trying to wander around aimlessly and think that nobody's going to mess with you, man, people mess with people in prison. It ain't just, don't think to yourself, I'm just going to go there and keep my head low. Somebody is going to test you, chances are. 90% of the time, somebody's going to test you unless you were just, you know, unless you are that big and you look that mean and you're about to part and you have that kind of reputation, then maybe you can go by without anybody fooling with you or bothering you. But chances are somewhere along the line, somebody's going to test you and somebody's going to do something that you don't like. And you're going to have to stand up for yourself and fight. You know, at some point or another, you're going to fight. Listen, I don't know how people do time and never get in a fight. I don't know how that happens. You know, that's amazing to me. I don't know how either A, like I said, you was that much of a savage and nobody messed with you, or you just ignored stuff and pretended like it didn't happen. And people will pretend like it didn't happen. Dude will rock up on them in the shower and they won't do nothing. They won't tell nobody. And they'll go in that shower and that dude will go in the shower with them all the time, standing up, solid like a Roman soldier. You know what I'm talking about, private part. Looking at the other dude's glutes, your glutes, and you ain't fighting. Man, you better fight for yourself. Stand up for yourself. The moral of this is don't get caught in the line of fire. Stand up for yourself and pay attention to your surroundings. Prison is not a pleasant place. It's not pleasant. There are bad people in prison with bad motives and bad intentions. And when they go there, their motives and intentions get worse. They do things. They lie to their family in the visitation shed. They got their wife come and see them, but they're hitting punks. They're not being honest. Some of them are savages. They're honest. They're honest about it. But that's very few. So you got to be careful on what goes on in prison and what you're doing. So pay attention to your surroundings in prison. And you know what? While you're at it, if you like this content, give me a like and subscribe. You know, thumbs up, give me a subscribe, and go check out my other videos. I'm going to leave one attached at the end. Let's get it.